Ladies and gents, welcome to Bejohnceknows, Knows, a conversational podcast covering all things unimportant, where dark humour is encouraged and no topic is off limits. From the sublime to the ridiculous, we've got you covered. Let us know where you're listening from using the hashtag BejohncekNows or follow me on Instagram at BejohncekUK. This is the podcast. This is Bejohnceknows. Today's guest, and the first ever guest on Bejohnceknows, I would say needs no introduction, but no one knows who I am, and he's not a celebrity, so I will introduce him. He's a long-time friend of mine, one of the most intelligent, articulate, encyclopedic people I know. I suppose they say that opposites attract. He's the recipient of a prize-winning Masters. He reads 2 books a week, but I bet he can't eat a donut without licking his lips. He's here. It's Craig Denham.
Good evening, John. How you doing? What an introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. It took me all of 5 minutes to write. Welcome to Bejohnceknows, the first ever episode.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me. What an honour. First guest.
Things first. What are you drinking?
Oh, right. Okay. This is a Stewart Brewing Radical Road, because I'm here in Edinburgh, and
Very good.
the road that goes around Arthur's Seat is called the Radical Road, so I thought I'd keep it local, keep it fresh. Here we go.
The finest sound on planet Earth.
Oh, what a noise. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm on a Cottage Delight Brewery light hoppy ale called Birthday Suit.
Oh, nice.
With the slogan of "Naked as the day you were born."
Makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough, isn't it? Yeah, good label as well for if anybody fancies having a look. We're going to kick things off with the same question for every single guest, so I'm going to dive straight into that.
Okay.
What would be your last meal?
Oh, do you mean if I knew I was going to die?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So,
well, you suppose you wouldn't choose it if you didn't know you were dying, would you?
Well, that's a good point. So if I'm on death row, my favourite food's pizza, so I'd want to go pizza, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say a really spicy curry, like a vindaloo or a fowl, because why not? I've never been brave enough to try it. Plus, I reckon I'm able to get my own back on the executioner if things went a bit south.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd go super spicy.
It's not cleaning it up, is it?
Exactly.
Okay, super spicy. I'm not a lover of spice, but I get where your head's at, and I like that we immediately went to the dark side of death row. I mean, I hadn't even brought that up, but
I know. But
I like where your head's at on minute 1.
Yeah, if I'm going to have Gandhi's revenge, I'm going to share it.
The first feature is a feature called Quickie Picky, which is a quick picture into your life. So the people listening, of the thousands that there'll be.
Millions, mate. Aim high.
Millions and millions around the world. A feature called Quickie Picky. It's a series of quick-fire questions that hopefully will give people a little bit of an insight into your mind. So I'm going to dive in.
Okay, fire away.
Question 1. What is your favourite word?
Ooh. Pineapple.
Pineapple. We'll definitely come back to that. Should darts be an Olympic sport?
No.
How much to become a vegan?
Ooh, see, I quite like the whole ethical side of it, even though you wouldn't. Less than you think. I'd say about 10 grand a year.
Okay. What's the best thing you've ever done?
Read to my kids.
Wonderful answer. What's the best thing you've ever seen?
Ooh. Oh, I could get pretty... No, I'll maintain her dignity and I will keep her anonymous. The best thing I've ever seen, probably a sunrise over Uluru, so Ayers Rock in Australia. That was pretty amazing.
That's going to be tough to beat. Christmas Eve beers or Christmas Day meal?
Oh, Christmas Day meal with my folks, definitely.
Have you ever cheated on the golf course?
Yes.
What is your least favourite day of the week and why?
Tuesday, 100%. Everyone hates Tuesday because all of the promise of a fresh start from Monday is evaporated by then, and you realise you've got the rest of the week to slog it through. So yeah, definitely Tuesday.
Okay. And finally, if you had to wipe a celebrity's bum, whose would you wipe?
Ooh. Stephen Fry. Wait.
Okay.
No, that's like the worst answer, isn't it? No, I'll stick with it. Stephen Fry.
Well, you're committed now.
Ooh.
And
Not pretty
in now is Stephen Fry. Good to hear from you, Stephen.
Hi, Stephen.
Let's talk about Tuesday, because I completely agree with you. I may have shared this before, but I wrote a blog that at university, one of 3 blogs I wrote, I really committed to it, that only immediate members of my family read, but on how they should abolish Tuesday, because the reason being, Monday, first day of the week, get over it. Wednesday has a landmarky feel about it because it's the middle. Tuesday, penultimate before the weekend, get through today, it's the last day tomorrow. Friday, beers from midday. Tuesday, it doesn't serve a purpose, so see ya, 6 day a week.
Get rid of Tuesday.
Yeah, done.
Well, I think the Norse gods would have something to say about that, mate. Do you know where the names of the days of the week come from? It's actually kind of a hodgepodge, really. Some of them are Norse gods, and some of them are like Roman gods and Greek references and stuff. But like Thursday's the obvious one. That's Thor's Day.
Right.
And even translates into other languages. Like in German, I think it's Donnerstag, which is the day of thunder, which is pretty cool. So it's like Norse god of thunder. Wednesday is Woden's Day, which is like a development of Odin, who is the Allfather, like the main Norse god. But Tuesday is named after the god Tyr, which is the one-armed god of war. So bad stuff happens on Tuesdays. So I wouldn't be so quick to abolish it, mate, because he might have words with you.
Well, I can hold a shield and a spear, so he's got no chance.
Good man.
Yeah, Tuesday, it's just not for me.
Yeah,
I don't identify with Tuesday. Talk about days of the week. You are an engineer.
I am.
What's that?
Well, engineer is someone that designs stuff and builds stuff. There's lots of different types of engineer, obviously. The reason I got into it mainly was actually because when I was a teenager, I thought that cars were incredible. And they actually are totally unbelievable. They shouldn't work. And it just fascinated me. And I think that anyone that tries to explain how a car works and really gets it is someone that's rare. I mean, I don't have a clue how a car really works, because the way an engine, internal combustion engine anyway, works is thousands of explosions happen every minute, and that power gets harnessed to turn wheels. And that's just crazy. It's crazy that explosions are happening all the time. And that might be okay for a day, but how do cars go for 10 years? It's just unbelievable. It's crazy.
It's a whole new meaning to the phrase car bomb.
Nice.
If we're essentially driving around in them. I mean, I have no idea. I pick the colour and whichever one's got the most powerful speakers. But yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I'm not a particularly intelligent man, but every day's a school day for me.
Nonsense, mate. You're very intelligent. But people choose cars for loads of different reasons. And like one of the things that people choose cars for is miles per gallon, which is a bit of a misnomer. It's miles per gallon doesn't really tell you very much, because I'll give you an example. So you buy a car that it's a real gas guzzler. It's a monster. It's like a monster truck. Why not? And it has 12 miles per gallon. Okay, so it's a beast.
I'm in.
And you decide, because you're wanting to do your bit for the environment, you decide to upgrade that to a 14 miles per gallon car. Now your wife, Sophie, who's far more conscientious than you, decides that her 30 miles per gallon car, she'll upgrade to a 40 miles per gallon car. Now, straight away, who's done the better bit for the environment, do you think? Do you think Sophie?
Yeah.
But if you actually work out the maths, if you do 1,000 miles in your new car compared to your old car, and 1,000 miles in her new car compared to her old car, she will have saved less money on fuel. A far better metric for choosing cars would be gallons per mile, not miles per gallon. But I'll let you do the maths in your own time, mate. But it's a crazy one. It's one that you don't really think of.
The audio listeners, you won't be able to see the blank look on my face trying to understand this.
But that's the thing I love about engineering, that there's loads of stuff that you can look at right now around your room that you will have no idea how it works, and it's fascinating. Like, I have no idea how that top works on you, but it seems to. I mean, is it lavender? Only you can pull off lavender, mate. But anything in your room, like the headset that you're speaking into, the radiator behind you, the light switch, all contains decades of expertise that is just mind-blowing.
Well, there's two things actually I find interesting. Is one, we take a lot of them for granted now, especially in the times of the Voldemorted worded COVID. We've gone in early. We take everything for granted, including things like the ability to connect as we are on a Zoom call. The other thing I was going to say about technology is what terrifies me is we think this is good. Governments around the world have things that will make the iPhone look archaic, will make the new PlayStation or the new Xbox look like a Dreamcast. I mean, there are people around the world that have things, people in high-powered positions that must have technology and machinery that just does unspeakable things.
That's a conspiracy theory, mate. Don't buy it. I reckon consumers get the most advanced technology. So I work in a defense company, and I manage a team of really, really good engineers. So good, in fact, that I don't really need to work too hard.
Fantastic.
But we design equipment for the military, for the Navy, specifically equipment for submarines and warships and aircraft carriers and stuff. And because it's all brand new and it's the first of type, it's not had that decades of refinement that things like cars and electronics and laptops and stuff have had. So yeah, you'll get like intelligence agencies that have pretty amazing stuff. But don't be fooled, we've got the most incredible engineering at our fingertips, which is awesome.
And do you think that will always be the way? I mean, I understand the thing about things not being polished, but I suppose money talks as well. And if you've got billions of people who are willing to buy something and a few government officials who need something, they're going to take the things, going to make the money, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I'm sure there's lots of good stuff out there.
And sucker number one, yours truly, will always give it to them.
Come back to COVID, though, because you brushed over that. You had it. What was it like?
I've had it. It wasn't a laugh. It wasn't a good laugh.
No.
I didn't fit any of the demographics that should have had a bad time with it. Now, I hasten to add, I'm absolutely fine. I've got friends with long COVID, one of who is very kindly and bravely coming on the podcast in a few weeks. It was rubbish. It was like a lottery, a symptomatic lottery. Every morning, how am I going to feel? One day my skin hurt, which is a weird thing to experience for the first time. Yeah, like sore skin, and anything that came into contact with it made it painful, which when you're struggling with what I can only describe as flu times 10, you're horizontal a lot of the time. And that means about 50% of you is in contact with something. I have since learned that sleeping on your chest is a big thing. So if anybody's listening and unfortunately gets COVID, I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, but sleep on your front if you can, because then your respiratory system is less compressed. Next day, back.
Can't be great. Can't be great in the morning though. Kind of when the blood rushes somewhere, make a big dent in your mattress.
Like an inverted tent. Well, not even inverted.
Nice. You're just hovering above the bed.
What was that?
A good 4 inches above the bed.
Who did? Don't be generous. Who did that song? Tenacious D. Remember that song, Cock Push-Ups, that they did? Do you remember that? It was one of their 13-second track 7 on one of their albums. Cock Push-Ups. A Jack Black classic.
They've done some absolute belters, haven't they?
Yes. Before he reduced himself to things like Nacho Libre or whatever.
Whoa. Wind your neck and big guy.
But yeah, it was horrible. It was rubbish. Now, I was nowhere near ever going to hospital ever, but I dread to think the physical and emotional and every bit of pain the people that are hospitalized with it are experiencing. It's a rubbish thing. And to all of these armchair Karens who think the vaccine has a microchip in it, Bill Gates doesn't care that you're going to Lidl on a Tuesday afternoon when you should have been working from home till 5 instead of 4. I do not wish it upon anyone. Like I said, I've got a friend who's got really, really serious long COVID, and it's hard. And
the thing that freaks me out about it, mate, is that you're like super fit. You do loads of running. I don't mean good looking. I mean athletically fit. You're good looking as well, I suppose. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Suppose.
But yeah, I suppose. But like someone like you that runs all the time. I mean, how many miles did you do last year?
1,300, which is, compared to a lot of people I know, not that much, but it was the most I've ever done.
Compared to me, it's 1,300 more. So that is, I mean, it's a huge amount, and it's terrifying for someone like you to get floored by it. I mean, you could go upstairs, could you?
I had a rest at the top of the stairs for about 2 days. Now, it's weird. Obviously, you have COVID and you have your isolation period, but the intense symptoms were probably 5-6 days at a push, with the middle 3 being the worst by a distance. But just weird. It's a really weird experience. My resting heart rate went up 36%, and that was the weirdest thing. I mean, we live in a nice house, but it's not a 4-story. We have one flight of stairs to climb to get upstairs, and I was having rest at the top of it.
That's nuts.
I'm glad
you're better, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Did you get any of that? Did you lose your sense of taste? Other than
no, but yeah, if anybody does know me, I'm a badly dressed man. I'm proud of it. No, Sophie did, which is a disaster because I eat to survive, really. Focusing on the main food groups such as cheese and beige food.
Strong.
Sophie is a big foodie and lost taste and smell for probably a month total. But it was brilliant for me because I would cook meals and say,
suddenly your cooking has become Michelin,
Oh, I wish you could taste this. Oh, it's, melt in the mouth food and all, In reality, when her taste came back, she clearly, she was playing a game. She didn't quite tell me when it was coming back. And there was me still waxing lyrical about the food I was putting on the table, not realizing that, can I have a bit more salt, please?
Well, it's good that you're both back on your feet. That's great.
Yeah, we're getting there, mate. Thank you. So, you cheat on the golf course?
Oh, yeah. Many a time.
You strike me as the last person, Mr. Articulate, Mr. Gentlemanly, well-spoken.
No, don't be fooled. What a load of nonsense that is. Oh, I would say, exactly. I'd say in my youth, we've all been there. We've all had a bad day in the golf course and we've thought to ourselves, your golf ball beside a tree root, and you're like, I'm not having that. And you just give it a wee nudge onto this. You're happy. I mean, I don't do it anymore. I remember one time I was playing with a mate that I was plugged in a bunker and he wasn't watching, or I thought he wasn't watching. And I picked the ball up and I also scooped up a handful of sand in my other hand. And I threw the ball one way and the sand in the other. And it was pretty obvious, and he absolutely caught me. It was inspired by a story that my dad was playing golf with his best mate, one of his best mates, a guy called Chris, who did it. And Dad just instantly knew that he was cheating. But I like to think that I don't cheat anymore, because what's the point? It's much better to just lose.
What is the point?
What is the point? Because I'm kind of getting a bit older now, and there's no need to cheat. It's just crazy.
It makes me laugh because, the level of golf, I don't know. I'd imagine I play off 15. I'm never going to be competitive enough for it to matter why I would ever cheat in golf, because what I'm achieving is, oh, good, I've come in the top 53 in the local golf club competition instead of outside the top 60.
golf is one of these funny games where you're not actually playing against other people. You're just playing against yourself. If you're in a good place, you'll play well. If you're in a bad place, you'll play badly. So make sure when you're on the first tee to just relax, deep breath, and you'll be fine.
Cheating in sports, it's always a hotly contested topic. None more so than now with the Olympic bans for Russia and things like that.
Yeah, the Ruskies.
Where do you sit on it all?
Well, I think sport's a kind of bizarre thing. Like, why do 80,000 people go to a stadium and watch someone, and pay a lot of money, and watch someone kick a ball in a net? It doesn't make any sense when you think about it. Or Madison Square Garden, you'll pay 400 quid to go and watch a basketball game for some people throwing a ball in a hoop. And I've thought about this, and when you score, and when people score baskets, they go bananas. They go absolutely nuts. And I reckon the reason for that is it's kind of primal. It goes back to when we were cavemen and we'd all go out hunting, and the person who was best at throwing a spear could bring down the mammoth, and everyone would go absolutely bananas for that person. If you can hit the target, you will be revered. You are the legend of the tribe. And I think that's what we pay for now. We pay to watch the best people in the world do incredible things and focus on hitting the target. So that's where I think sport gets its ridiculous following from, because it's built into our DNA. Now, why would you cheat? I mean, I think that the only reason for cheating is when winning becomes more important than the sport itself. Like, I've been thinking a lot about this because I'm a parent, and why do parents say to their kids, the winning doesn't matter, it's the taking part that counts?
Oh, shivers down my spine, that phrase.
Well, you hear it being said all the time. What does that mean? Why do people say that? And if you challenge someone on it, they don't really know.
Yeah.
But then if you think about it and kind of dig a little bit deeper, I reckon that to truly win a game, you need to be invited back. Because then you can play more games with more people, and you open yourself up to loads of different experiences, and that's really winning. So that's why I don't know, but I think parents tell their kids it's the taking part that counts, because if you play fairly and you don't cheat, and you take losing on the chin and you take winning with the same kind of humility as well, you'll get invited back, and you'll get to play more games, and then you'll have lived a life full of invitations, full of games, and your competence will have grown, and you'll become a leader, and you'll inspire people, and so it's not about winning the individual game. It's about winning the series of games that you get invited back to in life.
Certainly prevalent at a younger age as well. I think once you get to that professional level, when you specialize, obviously, the narrative changes. But I tend to agree with you, especially at a young age. But I'm not a fan of the participation medals. Everyone who's taken part gets a medal. I'm not a fan of that.
No.
As a sportsman, albeit a mediocre one, I don't want a medal for turning up.
Why not?
It's easy to turn up. You just turn up. Completing something like a marathon or a 10K, or it's all relative, whatever your goal is. Completing something, start to finish, I believe deserves recognition, but just turning up, nah.
What if you turned up and you played your best and you didn't have a tantrum and you lost fairly? Would that deserve recognition?
Okay, that same person who's rubbish at football and lost 4-0.
Yes.
But didn't have a tantrum, is brilliant at physics and comes top of the class, but the best footballer comes bottom of the class. Do they also deserve a medal for coming bottom of the class, but trying hard at physics?
Strong. Good counterexample. No.
So, but yeah. So people associate it with sport, don't they? It's always sport. But And this is why I believe America does a lot of things wrongly. One of the things they do well, in my opinion, is they embrace excess and they embrace brilliance and success and people being good at shit. If you are the best runner, you're celebrated. The best thrower, you're celebrated. But if you're the best teacher, if you're the best surgeon, if you're the best at designing rockets, you are celebrated for being good in America. And yes, it's all fireworks and it's over the top and it's celebratory and it's madness and it's American. But if you're good at something, I think you get embraced in that country, and I think that's cool.
Do you think? Yeah. Do we need to do more of that?
Yeah.
It's quite embarrassing. It's quite embarrassing being good at stuff in this country, isn't it? Well, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, we're all, but you are. We all apologise. British people, we stand in formally lines in queues, and we say sorry for stuff that we haven't even done wrong. And yes, that's a generalisation, but just that American thing. And yes, it's bright light and bright colours and whatever. But the national anthem sung at every sporting event and stuff. But there's something about that. There's definitely a happy medium somewhere. But there's something about embracing talent, whatever field it's in. It doesn't matter whether it's hoovering, whether it's climbing a ladder. If you're good at something, people applaud you, and I think that's cool.
I think it's awesome to be applauded for something that you've done well at, if it's someone else congratulating you. You don't want to blow your own trumpet, mate. That is just pants in any culture. You don't want to be the arrogant prick that thinks he's the mutt's nuts. But other people should absolutely give you praise if you do something really well.
Yeah,
of course.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree with that. Back to the cheating thing. It's all interesting, isn't it? Because if somebody says you've done something really well, and you know in your head that you've been on the performance enhancers,
on the roids,
you've been on the roids, having the you've been strapping other people's urine around your waist, which is how they used to cheat on the piss tests. Now they physically have to see the urine come out of your extremity. It's amazing. I've got videos of people going, have a look at this. I
was watching you kind of in turmoil there, wondering what to say. Extremity. You found the word. Good for you, mate.
We'll put the explicit content badge on it that you get on
parental advisory sticker.
Yeah,
I think when you said cock earlier on, you really did that anyway.
And if anyone missed it, they definitely won't now.
That's right. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, cock push-ups. If somebody's celebrating you, but you've cheated, like that, it's not.
It's a hollow victory, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hollow.
However, I think we'd all love to see a sport, especially the Olympics, when it's all time-based stuff. Not necessarily football, because it'd be harder to measure, that sort of thing. But when it's you start here and you finish there, things like the 100 meters.
Right, individual goals. Okay.
Individual goals. If you pumped Usain Bolt full of everything you could get his hands on, and the new 100-meter world record is 3.8 seconds, I think we'd all say, this is the one.
An open market, any drug is acceptable Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And you could have a cocktail of drugs.
Whatever
you
you
have
want.
all the roids, you could have a line of coke at the start, you could be on speed, and away you go. Do the high jump.
Yeah, at the end of the 100 meters.
Quite literally the high jump.
Yeah, so you finish the 100 meters, you do the UE, because the high jump's normally at that end where the 400 meters curve.
You just do all the events. You do
the high jump,
the other.
Pick up a javelin, throw that, pole vault the other end, and then enter the 1500 meter final.
Oh, there's so many jokes you can make as well, like a triple bump to just go a bit further. That'd be brilliant. Long bump.
Now, you definitely, as a viewing audience, we would have to accept the occasional brutal death on live television. But
St. John's ambulance would be busy.
And it would be St. John's ambulance. You know it'd be St. John's. They're everywhere.
Of course. We need another defibrillator. The 6 are in use. But that would be great, though. Like, how much are you committed to your sport? You can take in fact, Do you think then sport would be, or the Olympics would be dominated by chemists finding the most ridiculous adrenaline drug that would make you go faster?
I'd imagine chemists would be the coaches, and they would find a lot of people with small brains, and if you're a weightlifter, small penises.
Speak for yourself.
I'm not a weightlifter. To have do this, you'll definitely win Olympic gold. No one else is trying this cocktail. Please have a go. Okay, Mr. Coach. Well,
a no-holds-barred Olympics.
How many episodes of the podcast do you think we'll need to drum up the financial support to to go ahead with this?
I reckon you'll get some countries that will just be up for it straight away.
Russia.
But hey, you said that. I didn't say that. I wouldn't be rushing to give suggestions, but it'd be that kind of Eastern Bloc, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I saw a thing the other day. I can't believe this is actually happening. It was UFC, like mixed martial art fighting.
Love UFC.
So get this: in Poland, they do this, or it might be Lithuania, or it might be Ukraine, somewhere that neck of the woods. They do this team mixed martial arts, 5 versus 5 brawl, no holds barred. Unbelievable. And it's actually kind of sanctioned by a athletic governing body.
Amazing.
So they've got the gloves on and stuff, and they just go at it.
It's the sort of thing Channel 5, who will show anything. It's that sort of thing that's going to be broadcast on Channel 5, isn't it? I mean, it suggests that
I've not watched Channel 5 since I was a teenager. Do you remember Eurotrash?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Remember Eurotrash?
The hosts of Eurotrash. What a show!
That got me to my teens.
As we officially launch the bejohnceknows campaign to bring back Eurotrash. You heard it here first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess the first team to have a member knocked out would more often than not lose, because then somebody's having 2 people beat the living daylights out of them.
Well, the one I saw, 2 people straight away from one team teamed up on one guy, but he was an absolute bear. And the mismatch of numbers meant the other team got in front, and this bear just took the damage and was getting absolutely pummeled, but staying on his feet until his teammates had managed to gain the advantage and won.
Amazing.
Just crazy.
The cheating in sport thing, Lance Armstrong's always a hot topic of discussion. Now, I used to be the quintessential Livestrong band where a supporter of him, no, he hasn't cheated. No, he's just been made a scapegoat. Now, the reason I brought this up is because I believe, I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but in the first Tour de France he won, for the winner to be crowned in a clean race after all the post event tests have been done over the years and years and years, it would have been the 26th placed rider. Now, I'm not saying Lance Armstrong.
Well, the first clean rider was placed 26th.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying Lance Armstrong is therefore a good guy. I'm just saying he was just a bit better than everyone else at what he maybe had a chemist involved, taking or
He's
hiding.
He's just the one that got found out.
But
they're all
nobody
doing
else.
It. Have you seen the documentary Icarus?
Most of.
I don't know how you can not watch all of it. So good. So this guy, amateur cyclist, wants to be the best possible cyclist he can be. So he's going to do a documentary of him doping and doing performance-enhancing drugs to try and work his way up the rankings and give himself a fighting chance in a race, knowing that everyone does it. So he gets in touch with a Ruski, and turns out that he uncovers this massive conspiracy to where all the Russian Olympic team are getting doped, and that's led to the ban that you see now in the Olympics.
Yeah.
What a documentary, though. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Would recommend.
I think we've covered drugs in sport, so I'm going to go to
it's a real drug sporty podcast.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to an ad break now. When we come back, we'll cover some other things on bejohnceknows. And the adverts. Want to feel like you're out of reach? like you're the only one that exists. Isolate yourself from the generic everyday and break the mold. You do you, hun. Feel unreal with Tier 1 from Made Up Perfumes. Need a new carpet in your house? Come down Macclesfield Carpets today. Every carpet £1. No job too small unless it's too small. We've got nylon, acrylic, wool, and some quality shag piles. Trust me, I've tried it. Macclesfield Carpets, where flooring isn't boring. Welcome back to bejohnceknows. I've got Craig Denham, the first ever guest on the podcast here. How's it going?
Hello, what up? Good, mate. How are you?
If anyone could see a picture of Craig, he's the least gangster man I've ever met.
And that's not true at all, and you know it. I am the white Timberland, coming straight out of Barnton. I'm actually just looking at myself in the Zoom here, and I think my Marks and Spencer's jumper really kind of merges with my teal sofa, the Chesterfield. So yeah, I'm probably not as gangster as I like to think I am.
Yes, nothing says gangster like a teal sofa and an M&S jumper.
Amen.
We talked earlier about words, and I wanted to. This is one of my favourite words. Pineapple. Why is that your favourite word?
Just love pineapple. I mean, not just the fruit, but the ridiculous image of it. And whenever like my favourite shirt is like a linen holiday shirt that's got pineapple print on it.
Right.
So I just think it's like a happy thing. It makes you smile.
That greasy, unironed, I'm on holiday, but I'm definitely British type shirt.
Well, from the family that I come from, everything gets ironed, mate. So my linen is neatly pressed. I look like a fresh hemp sack.
Isn't a pineapple? It's on top of the Wimbledon tennis trophy, a pineapple, isn't it?
Yeah, random. Yeah, good fact.
There is
good knowledge.
Yeah, it would have been a lot better if I could remember why. But we're not in the business on this podcast of Googling reasons for during. So
I've got a good fact for you. I've got a good fact for you. So I'm really into useless facts like that, like why there's a pineapple on top of the Wimbledon trophy. And my favourite one's actually Casio. You know the people that make watches? They actually make all kinds of electronics. So Casio was the first company pioneered the use of quartz in their watches. And it means they keep better time.
Right.
And they were so proud of this pioneering fact that they named the whole company after quartz. So the chemical symbol for quartz is calcium silicon oxide. CASIO. Casio.
Right.
Pretty awesome. So I was telling this to one of my brother's mates. Brother lives down in London. And he just stared blankly at me and was like, bullshit. I said, no, it's true. That's how could that fact not be true? As soon as you hear it, you're like, that's a peach. Turns out Casio was a Japanese company founded after World War II by Tadeo Casio or something like that, and it just really pissed on my bonfire. It was gutted.
Bubble burst.
Bubble burst. Gutted.
That is good. Company names are important, aren't they?
Oh, so good.
The one that annoys me a lot is, what's the sports brand with the 3 stripes?
Adidas.
Well, and you are Scottish, and a lot of my Scottish friends say Adidas, but it was founded by a guy, I'm sure many people know this, called Adi Dassler, German fella, and not Adidasler, as the Scottish pronunciation is. Pronunciation? I sound like Sean Connery there.
Scottish pronunciation.
Scottish pronunciation.
What time does Sean Connery go to Wimbledon?
10ish.
Very good.
That's the comedy you can join in on. That's the sort of comedy I'm here for.
I don't know why I say Adidas and not Adidas, because I know that story. I know about the 2 brothers who were in Germany, I think. They worked together in a shoe factory. So there was Rudolf Dassler and Adolf Dassler working in Germany. Oh, and hey, it's a bad name.
It's a rough name in Germany.
They were both Nazis. So they were both working for. Well, they were developing their shoes, and the guys were experimenting with lots of stuff, and they realized that they could get in with the Socialist Party because they had a big sporting program trying to prove that the master race was better than anyone at racing, ironically.
Right.
So they got in with the Nazis, and when the Third Reich became a proper war machine, they cut the budget, and the Adi Dassler and Rudolf Dassler kind of struggled a little bit, and then Rudolf Dassler got conscripted into the Nazis and fought in the war. And he reckons that his brother had a part to play in that. So they had this big fight, plus their wives didn't really get along. So they had this big feud, went their separate ways, split the company. 2/3 stayed with Adolf, and 1/3 went with Rudolf, and he founded Puma. And they're two massive global brands. Absolutely incredible.
I mean, Adolf Das, I'm glad he shortened it, because Adidas is a significantly better name.
Yeah. Adolf,
I mean, I might have to rethink my favourite sporting brands. I might have to do a bit more research into the where they were born from.
Like Nike is a good one as well. Isn't Nike a god?
It sounds like a god.
I don't know if it is. I'm not sure. I think it's a god of something.
Company names that are plays on words are, or not plays on words, but clever company names or entertaining company names are often good. You know, the Peking Inn type, you know, one way, where it's a bit of a clever play on words. I often find those businesses are found to be independent and possibly quite small, but I always like the bravery.
Yeah, I think Adi Dassler and Rudolf Dassler were both sole traders as well. I think that my mate Rick came up with a really good one. He thought that if he was going to buy a pub, he'd name it the Stick It Inn. Pretty good. Pretty good. But I think a lot of these companies are getting kind of screwed over by the internet just now, because obviously you've got the global reach now. And there was a stationers called Penn Island that went online.
Yeah, very good.
You've seen that, and it gets contracted to Penisland. What a shame.
What a shame.
Perhaps. What a shame.
Slash definitely on purpose and brilliant.
Good use of the word slash. Clever.
Totally not on purpose. Yes, I also think accents play a big part. There's, you know, you hear, I forget the example, which is, you know, terribly boring for the listeners, but if you've got a certain accent or a certain language, you often find that you really need to research what your word means in other languages. Because if you come unstuck in one of those, I'll tell you why. There is it might be Slovakian, but a company that provides products for babies, prams, bibs, the like. And their company name is PEDO.
Oh, and that's not
now,
good.
I believe it's pronounced pedo, but do your research. Do your research to one of the most spoken languages in the world. So
going back to accents, though, you did a pretty good Sean Connery there before.
Accents are my favourite.
That's your favourite thing, accents?
Well, I mean, food, my family, you know, that sort of thing. Accents are one of my favourite things. Lee Mack, all-time favourite comedian.
Really?
Says, he's just funny. He's
so good on panel shows, but his stand-up stuff's a bit hit and miss.
Oh, see, I love it. He's just, there's something I like about these smaller auditorium comedians. Yes, I mean, I love Peter Kay, but there's a little element of sort of the personal element of it that gets lost when you're in a 20,000 seater. Lee Mack says, it's my favourite accent. The South African accent is like a record that's like an old record and a record player that's struggling to start. You know, all right, mate, I love rugby. Pass me a beer. Oh, hey,
that sounded like Duan van der Merwe. How do you pronounce his name? Duan van der Merwe?
Duan van der Merwe?
The winger that played for Scotland.
Yeah.
At the weekend when
South African winger.
When we beat your team, when we beat England.
Oh, well,
what a performance!
My sporting allegiance is north of the border, especially for rugby. And I'll tell you why. Because two reasons. No one likes English rugby. There's just something about them. They just carry that air of arrogance, and they have done since they won the World Cup. And yes, they won the World Cup, but they haven't won it since. And the other thing is them shirts are made by Umbro now, and that just says to me, in that era where we all used to wear Adidas poppers, and then the one
Speak
kid
for yourself, mate. I don't no idea what you're talking about. I was in a 3-piece from Savile Row.
And then the one kid had Umbro poppers, and you thought, nah, they're rubbish, mate. That's how I feel about English rugby. But a fantastic result for Scotland. What a result.
Incredible. First time since '83.
A brilliant,
never in my lifetime.
A brilliant example of leadership from Stuart Hogg when he gave 2 debutants the chance to lift the Calcutta Cup before he did, which I thought, that's unforgettable for them, unforgettable for their families, and surely in international sport at that level makes them hungrier than ever before to get good and win it again.
It's one of the kind of curses, though. Imagine your first taste of international rugby is making history. Do you think they've peaked? What are they going to do now?
Well, okay.
Hang up your spurs. You're done.
Well, I've often thought this, and who cares? Because nobody can take Calcutta Cup victory in the manner that they did it away from them. Nobody can take. Would you rather win 23 golf tournaments on the European Tour, or never win a golf tournament on the European Tour but win the British Open?
British Open. But
well, exactly.
Yeah, they've nailed it. I don't know if the analogy is perfect, but they've done really well. Next stop, World Cup.
It's my podcast, so it is perfect, all right?
How are you finding it, by the way? First episode.
Yeah, it's fun.
What got you into it, by the way? Why are you doing the podcast?
I'm reading a book. Have you heard of David Goggins?
What a name.
He is...
ring a bell. But...
He is bonkers. Now, his book is... He's basically... I found him on Instagram, as a lot of people did. He's famous at the moment for being a crazy challenge complete. He runs ultramarathons that are longer than you can even imagine. He just does crazy things, and he is no shit talking, takes absolutely no nonsense off anybody. So I read his book, or reading his book, and he had a really rough upbringing, horrible father, put on loads of weight, had a rubbish job, and he thought, nah, enough of this. So he has this thing in his house called the accountability mirror. It's just a mirror, but he puts Post-its around the outside of it, and it can be for anybody. The analogy he gives is, if you're fat, you're unhealthy. So write on a Post-it, stick it on your mirror, you are fat. Every time you look in that mirror, you'll be drawn to read the word you are fat. Take it down when you're not fat. He says, just get on with it. Everybody in the world has...
So he wanted the mirror not just to be normally reflective, but he wanted you to reflect on other stuff in the mirror as well.
Yeah,
very clever.
And he takes no nonsense. He never used to. He realized one day, he had one of these, sort of eureka moments, for want of a better phrase. But
Epiphany.
That's the word, not eureka. Eureka Johnson.
Eureka. Archimedes. Good story behind Eureka, by the way. But anyway, you carry on with your story.
But he just takes no nonsense. Now, that was a long prelude to the reason I'm doing a podcast. I've forever talked about trying to do something with myself. Do something with yourself. Sounds a bit personal for a podcast.
Disgusting.
Thank goodness it's an audio thing.
No wonder you need to rest at the top of the stairs, you filthy animal.
And I've talked a good game about it. Oh, I'll do this. It'll be funny. Oh, I'll do this. It'll be great. Oh, I'll try this. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? The setup fees for this podcast, minimal. New headset, Zoom Pro account. I have to buy the rights to the opening music and pay a little bit to host it online. Now, whatever. It's not a stressful amount of money. And it's just interesting.
Good for you.
I'm speaking to you. I'm learning stories about you that I didn't know. I'm learning, things about you, things about the world. It's just interesting. I've got some really interesting people lined up, and it's cool. Why not?
It's quite entrepreneurial, isn't it? You're all about that. I remember last year you did a marathon in your garden for charity because of the COVID crisis, and I mean, you're so full of energy, and you'd come up with all these different enterprises and different ideas, and this is just like you do songs like Bejohnceknows, and you do the charity stuff we did. What is it? 24 challenges in 24 hours, and just crazy amounts of energy. So good for you that you're doing it. It's great.
Thanks, mate. Just to make the demons stop singing in my head, but I'll take the place.
Bless you. Bless you. It's that thing you've got in the background. What is it, by the way? Is it like a tapestry or a rug? Or what is it?
Oh, that's me. I have nothing to do with
it's
the
like
interior design of this house.
Good for the listeners, that. You're pointing out something on your wall behind
enjoy
you.
that last 30 seconds, guys.
No worries, guys.
That won't be the hook, the teasering hook.
No, don't tease with that.
Before I move on to the last feature, why are you wiping Stephen Fry's bum?
I know, that was a bad shout, wasn't it? I mean, you could wipe Scarlett Johansson's bum. You could wipe anyone in the world's bum. And I chose Stephen Fry. So I'm kind of regretting that a little bit. Actually, I'm not. I'll stick with it. I'll stick to my guns, because if you were to wipe a really hot lady's bum, you might ruin the fantasy a little bit. Whereas
completely agree.
With Stephen Fry, it's going to be a rotten experience. And the only reason I'm doing it is because I really respect the guy. He's probably my favourite celebrity, actually. Everything he does, everything he writes, everything he says, I just think it's absolutely brilliant. Such a good egg.
And there's definitely something in ruin. If it was Beyonce's bum, having to extract fecal matter from her gooch.
Nice.
It's not that glamorous, is it? Probably ruins it a little bit.
No. You'd ruin the fantasy.
Yeah. I'd wipe the Queen's.
Really? Is that because she always sits on the throne? Needs the help.
I'll tell you why. Because she's the Queen. I mean, is there a better story? I've wiped the Queen's bum.
It's kind of a weird one, mate.
Kind of a weird one, but maybe she's listening. If you're out there, Liz.
Liz. Very good.
Yeah. So the last feature I want to do, I'm going to do it with every guest every week, is a legend and loser of the week.
Okay, cool. Actually, I remember you telling me this, and okay, go for it.
I'll tell you mine. My legend of the week is Kim Kardashian. Ooh, and the reason being, anybody that gets in a relationship and then successfully manages to seemingly get out of a relationship with Kanye West, in my mind, is a legend. And the Daily Mirror have suggested he's moved 500 pairs of trainers out of their house, which seems pretty final to me.
Are they breaking up?
Apparently so. According to the Daily Mirror, mate.
She's on the market. I take it back. Stephen Fry can go and swivel. No, I'm only kidding.
And loser of the week is Matt Hancock, not because of his somewhat questionable handling of the coronavirus crisis, but because I was made aware this week of the pictures of him playing football, and I am pressed to find a less athletic, graceful-looking man playing sport. If you haven't seen them, yeah, but there's an element of comedy. There's an element of comedy in that.
But that's where the comedy comes from. He's such an absolute moron on the rugby pitch. He went through a kid.
He did. But I implore you, Google Matt Hancock playing football. He is my loser of the week. Tell me yours.
Who'd win an arm wrestle, Boris Johnson or Matt Hancock? What do you reckon? I'm trying to buy more time for my winner and loser of the week.
Boris Johnson, you're up. Who's your legend and loser of the week?
Legend of the week, right? I'll go a bit soft here. So probably Captain Sir Tom Moore would be my legend of the week. Oh, wait a second. Is it Sir Captain Tom Moore? Is it Captain? It must be Captain Sir Tom Moore.
Captain Sir Tom Moore. It's not a living legends feature anyway, so that's fine.
Oh, savage. But yeah, that's why he's That's why he's my legend of the week, because I think that he did more for the COVID cause in terms of raising money for charity than anyone else individually did.
Yeah.
And he inspired loads of people. He inspired you. He inspired loads of people all around the country. So well done to him. Legend of the week. Loser of the week is an easy one. Owen Farrell, the captain of the England team that was so clinically taken apart by a great Scottish performance. Couldn't be happier.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for coming on, mate.
It must be a rubbish evening for him, because that's his dad, Andy Farrell, lost with Ireland as well.
Yeah, that WhatsApp group's quiet, doesn't it?
Oh, they're hating it.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Time flies when you're having fun.
I loved it, mate.
Almost an hour.
Wow.
I've really enjoyed it, and thank you for coming on, mate. I really appreciate your time.
Me too, bud. Anytime. That was great. Take your time.
That was Craig Denham on Bejohnceknows Knows, the first ever episode. Thank you for listening. If anybody would like to sponsor an episode of this podcast, please get in touch. It'll cost you very little, and we're very happy to mention you or your business multiple times. As for this episode, I'll sponsor it myself with a donation to Endometriosis UK, a charity very close to my heart. Keep smiling. There we go.
I think my last thing I said was take your time. What the hell was that?